Hi, everybody. Welcome to Beyond the Gates. Sorry, weekly report. I'm Tim Shirer. I have a bit of a cold. I'm under the weather in this cold weather here in the Cleveland area, Wickliffe, Ohio. But, the Friday episode of Gates just ended, and Winterfest was beginning. And, Cat didn't go, so of course Tomas didn't go either. Chased after her, which is, normal. But Cat is just a whiny little, I'm just going to say it. Cat is just a whiny little bitch. She is self-centered and a snob. I mean, there's no other way to put it, okay? She is a witch. What has Eva done? What has Eva done for her to hate her that much? She hasn't done anything. But she's not going to Winterfest. It looks like pretty much everybody else on the show will be at Winterfest. So it'll be interesting next week when they really get into it. What I'm kind of disturbed about this thing with Vernon and Sharon. I don't think it's anything, but right at the end, Vernon said he was going to go talk to the lobbyist, and Anita walked away. And where'd he go? He went over to talk to Sharon. And then Tracy, the other articulate, came around the corner and was looking. I mean, Sharon has always made comments about Vernon, but I thought maybe they were just, I'm going to be really disappointed in the writers of the show if Vernon's having an affair with Sharon. I'm just going to be so disappointed because it goes against everything. It goes against the whole character that they built of Vernon Dupree. And I just don't know. I just think it's the wrong direction to take the show. I really do. But, we'll just have to wait and see and watch. In the previews, it showed that looks like Haley's probably going to get her way, and she's poisoning Bill, and it looks like he's going to collapse coming up soon. And, who knows? Maybe she'll kill him. I don't think she'll kill him. I think, Bill's going to survive, I think. I don't think they're not killing Bill off. I'd be very surprised if they killed Bill off. I think it's more likely that Haley gets caught and, sent to prison. But Leslie, she's been everywhere this week. She's trying to get her mom, Peaches, into the clinical trial so she can maybe live a little longer. So hopefully, that works out. But what's funny is Leslie, I can't believe Nicole helped her. But, that's Nicole's job as a psychiatrist. So she did. She was able to convince Peaches to get into the clinical trial to help, prolong her life a little longer. Ted and Shanice were trapped in an elevator. And then yesterday at the end, Shanice, the blind date, got off the elevator, and then they never did anything else with it. Like, it ended there, and then it started today with Nicole and Kat and at Nicole's house. I don't understand like why they do that. Like they never they never finished that. Who got off the elevator? She looked shocked, and then was it? They never finished the scene. Next thing we know, she's with Naomi and Kat at her house today. It didn't make any sense. So I'm not sure exactly what that was about. So I don't know. Eva arrived at Winterfest with Ted. And so that's, I hope Winterfest goes a couple days next week. I'm going to be really disappointed if it's one day and over, or half the day, Monday and over, because they built this thing up for a month. You got to have it. You got to stretch it out a little bit, have it go a bit, and have some significant things happen at this. These people are experienced soap opera writers and producers. I know that the world moves quicker now, but Young and the Restless and Bold and Beautiful don't move quick, and they're very popular shows. So it could slow down for an event like this. I would be fine with that. But so I'm just excited for next week, find out what's going to happen at Winterfest. There didn't look like there was anything really exciting, though, in the previews about that's going to happen at Winterfest. So, we're going to find out. Obviously, we're going to find out. That's, that's pretty smart of me to say that, huh? So, but I think since there wasn't really a lot to talk about this week, I think we will go into the vault early. We will have a shorter show this week. I think we're going to go into the vault right now. Let's enter the soap opera vault. And we're going to go back to the mid-'80s into the 90s with Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara. It was a show on NBC from July 30th, 1984 to January 15th, 1983. And, I always, my son was born July 30th, 2001. And I always said great things happen on July 30th. And one of the great things was Santa Barbara debuting on January 30th, 1984. Great show. One of the best soap operas I ever watched. Funny, sad, so many things. They had characters that could be serious, but they made you laugh. And it was just a show that I really enjoyed quite a bit. It was, I just really liked it a lot. And I thought that it was, it just was a good show. You know what I mean? Like, I remember, I was a General Hospital fan growing up. We always watched GH. But I remember GH was not on that week. I don't know if I watched the premiere episode. I don't think I did. I think I might have tuned in like a couple days later, maybe on Wednesday. But General Hospital wasn't on. The Olympics had come on. And, during the day when it's the time, it was Los Angeles Olympics. So the time, they had some stuff that wasn't the most exciting events during the day. And so I turned it on, and I started to like it. And I ended up, watching that over General Hospital. It was created by Bridget and Jerome Dobson, husband and wife team that for years, I believe they were head writers on Guiding Light. So they created Santa Barbara. They were the head writers and they were the executive producers. But there was a lot of turmoil behind the scenes because they got fired. They sued. They eventually ended up coming back. But there was a lot of stuff that went on behind the scenes on Barbara. And, or as I called it back then, SB. But there were a lot of stars that got their starts on Santa Barbara, or became really soap opera royalties, soap opera characters that people who watch soap operas will never forget. Several of the characters. I'll try to remember some more as we go. But you had Marcy Walker. She was the headliner, really. She had been on All My Children. She had left All My Children to go to Guiding Light. She played some tangy person on Guiding Light. But she was really the main draw to Santa Barbara for daytime people because they remembered her from playing Liza Colby on on All My Children. And Eden was not Liza, but she was much nicer than Liza. But she had, some Liza in her at the beginning. But, you had Marcy Walker as Eden Capwell. You had Robin Wright, who became a movie star as Kelly Capwell, the original Kelly Capwell. A. Martinez as Cruz Castillo. And when he would answer his phone, it would be Castillo, and he was great, A. Martinez. Lane Davies as Mason Capwell, man. The guy was great. He was great. He was so good in that character. No matter who played him after that, Gordon Thompson or Terry, I can't remember his name. They couldn't do it. They just weren't him. Lane Davies was the best Mason Capwell. Dame Judith Anderson played the original Minx Lockridge on Santa Barbara. Nicholas Coaster, a great actor, played Lionel Lockridge. And then Louis Sorel was Augusta Lockridge. Just great, a really great cast to start. Of course, there were some characters and some casting decisions that were bad. A bunch of the female actresses that the show had hired, they realized very early on that they were not good actresses. So I think they ended up pivoting from their original ideas. And Peter Meadows, Stephen Meadows, who played Peter Flint, he married Kelly Capwell in the first episode. He ended up being the Carnation Killer. He had a brain and tumor or something that was causing him to be nuts. And he was killing women. And he would leave a carnation by their body. And so that's how they got rid of those women, the bad actresses. They killed them off. The Carnation Killer killed them off. So, that was how they took care of that bad casting. Another bit of bad casting on the show was the part of C.C. Capwell, Channing Creighton Capwell the first, the matriarch of the Capwell family. That was a revolving door. It was absolutely a revolving door. There were 3 actors that played C.C. Capwell in the first 5 months of the show. And then they finally found their guy. But they started out with Peter Mark Richmond playing him. He played him for the first 6 weeks. And then Paul Burke came in and played him for about 5 weeks. And then Charles Bateman played him for almost 3 months, about 2.5 months. And then on January 8th, 1985, Jed Allen took over the role and played the character for the next 8 years until the show ended. Almost 8 years to the day after he took over. He took over the role on January 8th, 1985, and the show ended January 15th, 1985. So he was there for about a year and 8 days. But he's the C.C. Capwell, that you would remember. Great character, very complex. Married Sophia like 5 times. Was married to Gina DeMott to start the show, and she was a nut. Her and her first husband, Stockman DeMott, had adopted their son Brandon, and he was the natural son of Cece's oldest, Channing Creighton the second, who was murdered 5 years earlier by Joe Perkins, who was the fiance of Kelly Capwell. And he got out of prison the day the show began. And he was eventually killed by the Carnation Killer also, thrown through a window. There was just a lot of change early on in the show, but it was a good show. They had a earthquake that got rid of some bad actors. Basically killed off a whole family, the Perkins family. It was really a good show. It had great writing. And the thing about it with Beyond the Gates is that a lot of the people who work on Beyond the Gates worked on Santa Barbara, a lot of the writers and the producers. There's no actors or actresses that were on it, but it was the producers, Charles Gouzer Jr., just a bunch of people who were on there. Really, they stayed in soap operas and they made their careers because that was such a good show. Other actors and actresses that were on the show, Roscoe Bourne, he played Robert Barr / Quinn Armitage, his twin brother. Great character. Christopher Norris, she played Laura Asher. She was Brancusi from Trapper John Medical Doctor. Santana Andrade, she was played by 4 different actresses. Gina Gallagher was the main one, though, that you would remember her as. Julia Wainwright, played by Nancy Lee Grant. She's on General Hospital still after all these years. Nancy Lee Grant. We got Lane Davies, Mason Capwell. He's also played by Terry Lester and Gordon Thompson, but they couldn't do it. They couldn't do like he did. Sophia Capwell, Judith McConnell, a great character actor from the 70s, played Sophia Wayne Capwell, Armani Capwell, Lockridge Capwell. Her and Cece got married like 5 times. There just were. Vincent Irisari was on there for a while. known from Guiding Light and All My Children. Terry Garber, early role on there. I believe she was murdered on the show. Marge Doucet played Pamela Pepperidge Capwell Conrad. Great character. Really a good character. Frank Runyon, who was on As the World Turns for a long time, was on there as a priest, Michael Donnelly, for a while. Kristen Meadows, who played on One Life to Live and General Hospital for a long time. She played Victoria Lane, and a drug addict actress. She was really good in that role. Robin Matson and Linda Gibney, they played Gina Blake, DeMott Capwell Lockridge, and they were great in that role. Jack Wagner played Warren Lockridge for a while and wasn't very memorable, so he was gone. John Lindstrom, who's on, there it is. There's your actor connection to Beyond the Gates. John Lindstrom played Mark McCormick, and he was a bastard. He got Mary Duval McCormick killed, and he was just a horrible person. And Mary Duval, she was a nun. She fell in love with Mason. They were going to be married. They were so in love, and she was killed by the C on the Capwell Hotel sign. And the Dobsons, Bridget and Jerome Dobson, later admitted that it was the biggest mistake of their career to kill off Mary Duval McCormick. So that's what it was. And then they brought in John Conboy to be the producer, and that was a disaster. Ratings went down. Show got canceled. I feel that show could have still been on today if NBC had handled it right, but they didn't handle it right. It seemed like they were against the show from the day it came on. I'm kind of surprised it lasted 9 years. Or 8.5 years, to be exact, I guess. But I think that's going to be it for today for this show. We'll be back next week to talk more Beyond the Gates. And who knows? Until we meet again here, maybe I'll see you somewhere around Fairmount Crest.